What's up guys, in this week's video I wanted to talk to you about the results of my first exam week of this year, which was around 5 weeks ago already, but I got sick during the last 2 days of the exam week, so I didn't do my exams on those original dates. I had to retake them 2 weeks later, so that's also part of the reason why this video got delayed a little bit. Another reason is that I went back home. I stayed at my grandma's for 6 weeks and then I got back home, and then at first my PC still didn't work. I didn't know where my camera stuff was because our room still needed to be pretty empty because the floor was yet to be laid. But after all of that happened, I found my camera stuff again and then I got sick again. So that I still didn't film any videos then, but now I've been feeling pretty good and I have my camera stuff and a working computer, so we're back with the videos. After telling you about the results of this exam week, I will also tell you what this means for my overall grade average, because as you know, if you watched my video why I need to get better grades this coming school year, I need to get to an overall average of a 7.0, and when I created that video I was at a 6.9, and yeah, after I told you the results I will tell you what my overall average is right now. My first exam on Monday was an oral German exam. I had to talk about a book I read, and at first the exam went horribly. I couldn't get any proper sentences or even words out of my mouth, but after those few minutes all of a sudden I kind of got in my flow and everything came out pretty fluently and without too many mistakes. So even though I didn't expect it, I ended up with a 7.8, which I was obviously very happy about because I was expecting more towards a 6.5. So that means that the part that I did right went really great. So that was pretty awesome and helped my confidence in my German skills. So that's really cool. My second exam, still on Monday, was also an oral exam. It was in English. I had to talk for 15 to 20 minutes about 3 books I read and around 8 poems. Overall the exam went really great. I could talk basically in the entire time without having to think about what I wanted to say or what the right words were. The only thing that didn't really go great was a question about the poems. So I expected my grade to be around an 8, but unfortunately I ended up getting a 7, and my teacher told me that that was because she felt like she needed to pull the information out of me. And looking back I can somewhat see what she means, but I just thought that the exam was supposed to be her asking me a question and me answering the question and her asking a new question, and apparently it was more supposed to be I was supposed to take a bit more charge of the conversation. But yeah, I didn't know that. A 7 still isn't bad, but it was pretty bad for my English grade. More about that after I told you the rest of my grades. My third exam was on Tuesday. And it was geography, and usually geography exams don't go really well for me the first time. We're always allowed to retake one of the exams from the exam week to try to get a better grade, and usually at that second exam I do get a fine grade at like 6.5 or something along those lines. But this time it actually went pretty great the first time already. When I was making the test I felt like I knew most of what was being asked, and yeah, I ended up with a 6.8, which obviously isn't great, but I was really happy with it because, as I said, I usually have to retake geography because I get like a 4. And yeah, getting to a 6.8 is then a pretty big leap, which I'm really glad about. My fourth exam, again on Tuesday, was a history exam. I usually do pretty good on history exams. I usually get around a 7, and yeah, that's simply because I study my butt off and actually know pretty much all of the information that I'm supposed to know. Just for a bit of context, our history exams aren't questions like what happened in this year or something. It's more like you get a picture or a source and you have to say, okay, what can you say about this source, what happened, and we get 49 kind of sentences that are supposed to kind of describe history in a really short way, and with every source basically you have to say which one or two of the 49 fits this source the best and why. And then you're basically supposed to write something along the lines of, I see the source is in this and this year, and I know that this and this happened in that year, and therefore I think that this sentence fits this source the best. And basically 80% of your test is about just those sources and connecting them to the sentences. So it's not like if you know all the contents then you're automatically going to get a 10 for your test. That's just not how it works. So I got a 7.2, and yeah, I was just really glad about that. My 5th exam was on Wednesday, and it was economics, and I was pretty nervous for it because economics exams usually somehow I always end up kind of screwing them up, even though basically all the things I'm supposed to know I know, and when I practice it I do it right, but when the test comes it just, I don't know, goes out of the window or something. And in addition to that, I felt really awful on that day. I even considered just staying home sick because I just, in the morning my head hurt so bad and everything just kept spinning and I couldn't even think straight. But right before I was supposed to leave, if I wanted to do the test, it went a bit better, so I decided to just go, since it isn't ideal to have to retake them either, because then you have to retake all of the tests you missed 2 weeks later, and you have a maximum of 2 exams a day. But still, if I'd missed that day and the next, because my exam week was from Monday till Friday, and if I'd been sick from Wednesday on, I would have missed 4 exams, so that would mean that I'd have to study for 4 exams to retake them over 2 days, and I just really didn't want to do that, so I decided to go anyway. And at first I got a 5.7, but then when I could look at the test to see what I got and how I was graded, I saw that my teacher had missed 1 point, so when that point was added, my grade went up to a 6.0, which I wasn't too happy with, but I was satisfied because, yeah, economics exams just aren't my thing apparently. After that day I did really get sick, and I just laid in bed for 5 days straight and couldn't do anything, so I missed all my tests on Thursday and Friday. So in total I missed 3 exams, which I then, as I just explained, had to retake 2 weeks later, and I had 2 on Monday and 1 on Tuesday. On Monday I started with Dutch, which was a Dutch literary history test, which is always really hard. Usually Dutch exams are already pretty hard, but literary history is even harder. While making a test I already knew that it wasn't going great, it wasn't going horribly either, but I suspected a grade somewhere between a 5 and a 6, and I ended up getting a 5.1, which I wasn't really happy with, but Dutch is basically the only subject that I can get a 5 for and still won't feel really disappointed by. So yeah, unfortunate, but not the end of the world. After Dutch I had business economics, which went really great. I was really happy about it. I really felt like I was in the flow while doing the test, and my grade for that was a 7.7, which I was really happy with. And the day after that I had to take math, which I wasn't really nervous for because I knew I could still pick 1 exam to retake, and I knew that I so far hadn't really made a test that I already knew I would go horribly, so I knew that even if this test went horribly I could still choose that one to retake. But totally unexpectedly it went pretty great. Well, no, not really. While I was making the test, at the first half I thought, well, okay, this is going pretty well, but then the second half I was like, what is this? I don't know any of this. So that went pretty bad, I thought, but imagine my surprise when I checked to see my grade a few days later, and it said I got a 7, which is the highest grade I got in like 3 years, so I was really excited about that. I just still don't really understand how that happened, but I'm grateful nonetheless. So yeah, that was my last grade, and I obviously was really happy with it. Getting a high grade for math also meant that I could choose Dutch to retake, which I'm going to retake on the 4th of January, so that's the day after Christmas holiday ends. So yeah, it's unfortunate to have to study for tests during a 2-week vacation, but I also have to study for 2 other tests I missed because after that exam week and retaking those exams I got sick again, and I missed like a week and a half of school, and in that week and a half I missed 2 additional tests which I now have to retake after the vacation or after the holidays. And I still have some other pretty big projects for school I need to work on, but hey, who said our Christmas holiday was to get a bit of rest? Now I wanted to get into the changes that these grades had made to my overall average. My German average went up by 0.2, which is awesome. My English average went down with 0.4, and yes, that hurt really bad, but nothing I can do about it. My geography also went up with 0.2. My history went up with 0.2. My economics grade stayed the same because my average was a 6.0 and I got a 6.0. My Dutch average went down with 0.4, which again, that hurt, but I still have the chance to get a better grade, which would then positively influence my average, of course. Both my business economics and math averages also went up with 0.2. When we add and subtract, unfortunately, all those grades together, I still have an average of a 6.9, which is partly because you may now be wondering, because my grades went up 1 point and went down 0.8, so you would expect my overall average to go up, and it actually did, but I also got some other grades already this year that made my grades go down a little bit. So now we went from a 6.9 to around a 6.8, and now we're back at a 6.9. So yeah, not where I want to be yet, but it's great to go up again, and I want to just keep this trend going. And I know there are some tests coming up that I will for sure get really good grades for. For example, we have English watching and listening coming up, and my final exam, which counts for half of your final grade, is English reading, which I'm really good at. And for German, I'm going to get a watching and listening exam, and the final exam is also reading, which I'm good at. And yeah, hopefully with those grades I will be able to get my overall average to a 7.0, because yeah, that's what I need to get. So that's what I'm going to get, or at least going to give everything I have in order to get that. What a beautiful sentence. Yeah, with all of that being said, that was this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please consider liking it, and if you aren't already, please consider subscribing. I will be posting videos regularly again on Mondays at 5 PM my time, which is GMT +2. I have no idea what that is your time. Yeah, if you have any video suggestions, please comment them down below, and hope to see you in next week's video.